Hi friends, in this month's calendar grid, we will be talking about different attributes of triangles. We'll identify triangles by their side lengths and angles. We'll practice writing coordinates, and we'll talk about transformations. Let's start by going over some important vocabulary words. Here are three types of triangles based on their side lengths. Scalene triangles have no sides that are the same length. So you can see over here, all of these triangles have three sides that are different lengths. Isosceles triangles are triangles with two sides that are the same length. So over here you can see this triangle has two equal sides. This triangle also has two equal sides. This triangle has two equal sides, and so on. And last, we have an equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangles have all sides the same length. And you can see examples over here. Here are three different types of transformations. Transformation is a fancy word for movement. The first type of transformation is translation. That's when a shape slides. Translation is when a shape slides. The next type of transformation is called rotation. That's when a shape turns. We've heard the word rotation before in real life, so it should be easy for us to know that rotation means a turn. And reflection. Reflection is when a shape flips. So you know how in a mirror you see your reflection and it's your reflection but flipped. It's what you look like but flipped. Same thing here. A reflection is when a shape flips. Now that we know those 6 words, let's apply them. Here's our first calendar grid marker for the month. What kind of triangle is this? Let's see. It could be scalene and have no equal sides. It could be isosceles and have 2 equal sides, or it could be equilateral and have all equal sides. What do you think? Well, the purple side is 3 units long. I see that because I count 1, 2, 3 squares. The blue side is 4 units long because I count 1, 2, 3, 4. And the green side is 5 units long because there's a number here that tells me. Are any of these sides equal? No. That means that our triangle is scalene. That is a scalene triangle. Now we need to mark the coordinates of our green point, our blue point, and our purple point. Marking coordinates is like playing Battleship. You count how many spaces over you need to move, and then how many spaces up you need to move. So let's look at the green point. Do you need to move any spaces over? No. Do you need to move any spaces up? No. So the coordinates for our green point are going to be 0, 0. Because if you start down here at this corner, you move 0 over and 0 up to get to that point. Now let's try the blue point. Starting from over here, how many spaces do you have to move over? 3. Very good. How many spaces do you have to move up? 0. Very good. Now let's talk about the purple one. Starting here, how many spaces do you have to move over? 0. Good. Now how many spaces do you need to move up? 4. Very good. Let's move on to our next day. Here's day 2. What do you notice about this triangle compared to this triangle? Do you see that it's the same triangle, just in a different spot? Well, that means that we have another scalene triangle on our hands. But let's look at our points here. Our coordinates are not going to be the same. Let's start with the green point. Starting from this corner, how many spaces do you have to move over to get to the green point? 4. Very good. How many spaces do you have to go up? 0. Very good. What about the blue point? How many spaces do you need to move over to get to the blue point? 7. Very good. How many spaces do you need to move up? 0. It's on that bottom line. Very good. Now here's the trickiest one yet. What are the coordinates of our purple point? Well, let's think. How many would I have to move over to get under that purple point? How many spaces would I have to move over? 4. Very good. How many spaces do I have to move up to get to the purple point? Also 4. Very good. So the coordinates for our purple point are 4, 4. Now, last but not least, we have to talk about a transformation that we saw from point 1, or day 1, to day 2. What happened to the triangle? Is it sliding, turning, or flipping? If you said slide, you are correct. We see a translation here because our triangle moved 4 to the right. He moved 4 spaces to the right. You can see that because our blue line is 4 spaces over from where it originally was. All right, let's keep going. What do you notice about this triangle compared to day 2's triangle? There's 2, there's 3, there's 2, there's 3. Did you say it was the same triangle, just in a different spot again? Well, let's see. What kind of transformation did we see? We know it's still a scalene triangle, but did it slide, turn, or flip when it moved from here to here? It's a translation. It slid from the bottom line up 4. So we call that a translation. This triangle is just doing the cha-cha slide. All right, friends, let's talk about these coordinates. Look at our green coordinate here. See if you can figure out how many over and how many up you'd need to move to get to the green coordinate. Starting from the 0, how many spaces over and how many spaces up would you need to move to get the green coordinate? Pause and play again when you are ready for the answer. If you said 4, 4, you are correct. Let's try the blue coordinate. Starting from the 0, how many spaces do you need to move over and how many spaces do you need to move up to get to the blue point? Pause and start the video when you are ready with your answer. If you said 7, 4, you are correct. Now let's try the purple point. Think, starting from the 0, how many places over and how many places up would you need to move to get to the purple point? Pause the video and press play when you're ready with your answer. If you said 4 spaces over and 8 spaces up, you are correct. All right, we've got 2 more days, my friends. Whoa! Do you see what happened from day 3 to day 4? Here's day 3. Here's day 4. Pause and press play when you are ready for the answer. This is the same triangle, so it's still a scalene triangle, but it didn't slide this time. We didn't see a translation this time. What happened? He went from this to this. It almost looks like he fell over onto his back. We call that a rotation because he turned. He didn't flip because he would look the same but opposite. He turned. Now let's talk about these coordinates, friends. Start with your green point. How many over and how many up do you need to move to get your green point? Pause the video and press play when you're ready for the answer. If you said 4, 4, you are correct. Now let's try our blue point. Starting at 0, how many spaces over and how many spaces up do you need to move to get to the blue point? Pause the video and start it again when you're ready with your answer. If you said 4, 7, you are correct. Now, lastly, let's try our purple point. Starting from 0, how many over and how many up do you need to move to get to the purple point? This one could be a little bit tricky. Pause the video and play when you are ready for the answer. If you said 0, 4, you are correct. We had to move over 0 spaces and then up 4 spaces to get to the purple point. All right, friends, here's our last day for today. Whoa! What happened between day 4 and day 5? What happened between day 4 and day 5? Pause the video and play when you are ready with your notice about what happened between day 4 and day 5. We see that this is still the same triangle, but what happened to it? It didn't slide, and it maybe turned, but if you think of it like a pancake, it flipped. We see that it's a reflection because it flipped like a pancake. Now all we have left to do is mark our coordinates. And start with the green one. How many over and how many up do we need to move? Pause and play the video when you're ready. If you said 4, 4, you are correct. What about the blue point? Starting at 0, how many spaces over and how many spaces up do you need to move to get the blue point? Pause the video and play it when you are ready with your answer. If you said 4, 7, you are correct. And last but not least, let's find the coordinates for our purple point. How many spaces over and how many spaces up would you need to move to get to the purple point? Pause the video and play it when you have your answer. If you said 8, 4, you are correct. That's all for our calendar grid for today, friends. Tomorrow, you will fill out the information about the next 5 triangles. You'll tell what kind of triangle you see, the 3 coordinates, and what kind of transformation you see. Make sure you answer today's discussion post, then go get the green light on Reflex, and then do at least 2 lessons on Dreambox. Have a good day, friends!